In the summer of 1940, a Luftwaffe Me-109 pilot filmed these rare images on his small 8mm camera. The sequences show the daily life and operations of one group, JG-52, which was based at Coquelles, near Calais, and heavily involved in the Battle of Britain. Remarkable enough in itself, but when the wing leader team took a closer look, they realized that it contained footage of an incident that had never been seen before. The rare piece of footage comes right at the end of the film. We see a parachute, a fighter, a captured pilot, and then smoking wreckage of an RAF aircraft. The man who filmed this footage was Oberleutnant Gunther Büsgen. He remembered it being a Blenheim, which is quite possible as Blenheims were actually bombing the area throughout the battle. Historian Chris Goss, who owns the film, narrowed it down to one Blenheim of 53 Squadron shot down on the 11th of August. But something didn't fit. That Blenheim had 3 crew members aboard. 2 were killed and 1 evaded. So how could the airmen in the film be in captivity?
Now Chris and I looked again at the footage to try and get some more clues. Now we know that Büsgen was shot down in mid-October 1940, which dates this footage between the 2nd of August and the 12th of October 1940. But was it even a Blenheim?
Then the team had a breakthrough. Chris remembered a sequence of photos that he had bought on eBay many years ago that showed a similar crash site. He dug them out, and sure enough they showed the same incident. Even the people were the same. But this was no Blenheim. This was a Spitfire.
Now I can't overemphasise how significant this was. Chris had always assumed that this series of photographs was taken in 1941 when hundreds of Spitfires were shot down over France. But Büsgen by then was already in a POW camp. This had to be a Battle of Britain Spitfire, and only 4 of those actually fell on French soil during that period. But which one?
Luckily for the team, Spitfires were a rare sight for the Germans in France in 1940, and 3 of those that fell on French soil were extensively photographed. Flying Officer Ralph Roberts of 64 Squadron on the 15th of August 1940. Pilot Officer Richard Hardy of 234 Squadron also on the 15th of August, and Pilot Officer Jim Caster of 603 Squadron on the 6th of September. So with all of those ruled out, it just leaves Spitfire R6966, flown by 24-year-old Sergeant Philip Waring of 616 Squadron, which was shot down on the 25th of August near Calais. Up until now, no photos were known to exist of his Spitfire down in France. His combat report reads as follows.
My aircraft must have been hitting the radiator in an earlier melee, because after I intercepted the 4 Germans over the channel, it started getting hot. The oil pressure and temperature went right off the clock. I didn't realize it, but I was now over France. I was beginning to slow down, and another lot of Germans appeared and went for me. I was going slower and slower, and then my engine caught fire. I side-slipped, and it went out. I was almost gliding by then. The Germans were using me for target practice. Their machine gun bullets on my armor plating sounded like one of those old alarm clocks going off. I looked at my poor Spitfire. It was a new one. I'd only had it a few days. Now there were holes all over it. I knew I'd have to get out, so that's what I did, just as my fuel tanks went up in flames.
Now if we look at the film again, it all fits. The location is correct, the pilot bailed out and was captured, and look at the darkening skies. This combat took place at 7 PM in the evening, which explains why the final shots of the burning wreckage are almost in complete darkness. Interestingly, most records show that Waring was flying an old Spitfire K9819, but these photos prove otherwise, as the aircraft has the later style aerial mast. In fact, as Waring himself described, he was flying a brand new Spitfire R6966 coded QJY.
So now we know that this young RAF pilot in a May West is 24-year-old Sergeant Waring of 616 Squadron, chatting to Luftwaffe pilots on Coquelles Airfield, just minutes after bailing out of his burning Spitfire at around 7 p.m. on the 25th of August, 1940. And these photos, after 84 years of searching, finally show the missing 4th Spitfire to fall on French soil during the Battle of Britain.